All right, let's talk about something that trips up pretty much everyone at some point. Ever get stuck wondering if you should say many or much? Well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to solve that classic grammar puzzle, countable versus uncountable nouns. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be sorting them out like it's second nature. Let's jump in.
So have you ever actually stopped to think about this? Why do we say how many apples, but how much water? It kind of feels random at first, doesn't it? But I promise you, there's a really simple logic behind it, and we are going to unlock it together right now. The secret is all about two different types of nouns.
Okay, so before we can start sorting our nouns into those two buckets, we got to make sure we're all on the same page. Let's do a super quick refresh on what a noun actually is. Back to basics for just a second.
Super simple, right? A noun is just a naming word. You know, a boy, a city, a book. Those are things we can easily picture. But, and this is important, nouns also include stuff we can't physically touch, like happiness or substances like water. And that's really where the sorting game begins.
It turns out every single noun, whether it's a thing on your desk or an idea in your head, falls into one of these two main categories. You've got your countable nouns and you've got your uncountable nouns. Understanding this one single difference, well, it changes everything.
All right, this is the main event. Let's really break down what separates a countable noun from an uncountable one. The names themselves give us a massive clue, so let's get into it.
Countable nouns are, well, they're exactly what they sound like. They're things you can count. You can put a number right in front of them. You can have 1 apple, or you can have 2 apples, 3 apples, 100 apples. And notice how the word changes. Apple becomes apples. That's the dead giveaway. They have a plural form.
And then you've got the other team, uncountable nouns. These are things we think of as a whole, like a liquid, a powder, or an abstract idea. I mean, you'd never say 1 water, 2 waters, would you? Or I have 3 rices. It just sounds wrong. And that's because they don't have a plural form. We don't think of them as individual items.
Okay, think of this table as your ultimate cheat sheet. Seriously. On the left, you've got countable. You can count them, they can be plural, and they work with words like an, many, and few. On the right, uncountable. You can't count them, no plural form, and they pair up with words like much and little. This right here is the heart of it all. So, we've got the main rules down. But, you know English, it just loves to throw a few curveballs at us. So now let's get into the slightly trickier parts, like the exceptions and the common mistakes people make. Don't worry, we'll make it simple.
This brings up a really obvious question, right? We know we can't say 2 waters, but what if you're at a restaurant and you need to order drinks for you and a friend? How in the world do you quantify this stuff?
And here is the clever workaround. We use helper words. We use containers and units of measurement. You see, we're not actually counting the water, we're counting the glasses of water. We're not counting the rice, we're counting the bags of rice. Words like piece, slice, cup, they become our countable units for all that uncountable stuff. Pretty smart, huh?
All right, just when you think you've got it all figured out, here comes the plot twist. Some words can actually be both countable and uncountable. The secret to knowing which is which? It's all about context. It completely depends on what you mean by the word.
Let's take the word chicken. If you say, I bought a chicken, you're talking about the whole animal, right? You can count that. 1 chicken, 2 chickens. But if you say, I like chicken, you're talking about the meat on your plate, which we think of as a mass. So it's uncountable. See how the meaning changes the rule?
Here's another perfect example. If you say, I wrote a paper, you mean a single document, like a school essay. That's countable. But if you say, I need paper to print on, you're talking about the raw material, which is uncountable. Same word, 2 totally different rules, all based on context.
So with all that in mind, let's look at some super common traps to avoid. You'd never say many informations. Information is always uncountable, so it's much information. And you don't buy 2 breads, you buy 2 pieces of bread or 2 loaves of bread. And furniture is a classic tricky one. It's always uncountable. Getting these right will make a huge difference. Okay, you've taken in a lot. So how about we put that new knowledge into practice? It's time for a quick, low-pressure quiz just to see how it's all sticking. Ready to give it a shot?
First one up, I need many money or much money. Take a second to think. Is the idea of money as a whole something you can count as individual units? Which word fits best?
And the answer is much.
That's it! While you can count dollars and cents, the general concept of money is treated as uncountable, so we always use much. If you got that one, fantastic job.
All right, question number 2. She bought 2 breads or loaves of bread. Now this one is testing what we just talked about. How do we handle those tricky, uncountable nouns?
And the correct answer is loaves of bread. Exactly. Because bread itself is uncountable, we need that helper word, that quantifier to count it. In this case, loaves does the job perfectly. You're getting the hang of this.
And that's really all there is to it. You now have the essential guide for telling countable and uncountable nouns apart. You see, the real key isn't about memorizing giant lists of words. It's just about understanding that one simple question. Can I count this as individual units? If you can answer that, everything else just falls into place. I hope this helped clear things up.